Late 1960s, rural Hunan province, China. Picture a place called a cadre school, in reality, a re-education farm designed to break the spirit of the nation's top intellectuals through grueling physical labor. Now, picture this scene. A woman, nearly 60, with the gentle demeanor of a scholar, is assigned the daily task of cleaning the village's filthiest public toilet. But there are no complaints. Instead, using small brushes and a scraper she brought all the way from the capital, Beijing, she meticulously cleans every corner until the toilet is not just usable, but spotless cleaner than it had ever been. Not far away, her husband, an equally refined academic, is clumsily learning to farm in the muddy fields, undergoing his own re-education. If anyone from the West had witnessed this, they would have been stunned and confused. Could this quiet, dignified couple, surrounded by dirt and humiliation, truly be China's most celebrated literary couple, Jiang and Qian Zhongshu? Yes, they were, from the firestorms of World War II to decades of unimaginable political turmoil. They walked hand in hand for 63 years. In an era that shattered countless families and twisted millions of souls, how did they not only survive but thrive, becoming a living legend of love and resilience? Welcome to Fanko Decodes. I'm Fanko, your friend and guide on a journey to extract wisdom from the world's most legendary lives. Jiang and Qian Zhongshu were two of the 20th century's greatest intellectual titans. Their lives spanned nearly the entirety of modern China's most violent and chaotic history. Yet, when you read their work, be it Qian's brilliant, satirical novel Fortress Besieged or Yang's heartwarming memoir We Three, you feel almost no trace of the trauma they endured. Instead, their pages are filled with wisdom, grace, and a profound warmth that seems to emanate from the soul. Think about it. Another famous Chinese female writer, Yi Hong, born in the same year, 1911, lived a tragic life, burning out like a moth to a flame. Yet Jiang built a partnership that lasted over 6 decades, passing away peacefully in 2016 at the age of 105. What made their life trajectories so fundamentally different? Today, through the true story of Jiang, Fanko Decodes will unlock the ultimate happiness algorithm of this legendary couple. This isn't just a biography, it's a complete operating system for life. How do you maintain absolute inner order when the external world descends into chaos? How do you mine for eternal joy in the most mundane, or even degrading, circumstances? How do you evolve a relationship beyond passion and dependency into a soul-level, invincible alliance? This is more than a history lesson. It's a masterclass in marital strategy, life philosophy, and the art of building an unbreakable inner self. In our own turbulent 21st century, the wisdom of Jiang is more valuable than any self-help book. She proved with her entire life that true happiness is not about what you possess, but about how you choose to possess it. Chapter 1. The launch of the ultimate startup, spring 1932, Tsinghua University, Beijing. Their first meeting was not scripted like a movie scene, but it had the precision and inevitability of a perfect algorithm. Qian Zhongshu, a genius whose brilliance was already legendary on campus, was on his way to see a friend. Jiang, a gifted scholar from the south, was also visiting a classmate at the very same place. They were introduced. Qian Zhongshu's first words to her broke all social conventions. With an urgency that bordered on bluntness, he stated, "The rumors that I am already engaged are not true." Jiang immediately parsed the meaning behind this line of code. She responded with equal, breathtaking sincerity, "And the rumors that I have a boyfriend are also not true." There was no small talk, no coy maneuvering. It was like two master cryptographers meeting for the first time and immediately exchanging their private keys. They had both heard of the other's reputation. They had both been waiting for a mind, a soul, that could match their own. In that single moment, they knew, the search was over. It was perhaps the most efficient and most moving declaration of love between two superintellects. However, their union would require bridging a colossal gap. Their family backgrounds were like two completely different operating systems, a difference that would profoundly shape their life choices. Jiang came from a remarkably progressive family. Her father was one of China's most famous lawyers, a man who was once a provincial attorney general but was dismissed for refusing to bow to powerful warlords. In this environment, Jiang was raised to be an independent, modern woman, encouraged to think for herself. Qian Zhongshu's family, on the other hand, was the epitome of a traditional, Confucian scholar gentry clan. His father was a revered master of classical studies, while there was no dramatic Romeo and Juliet-style conflict. Qian's family was initially deeply skeptical of this modern, newfangled woman. Could Miss Yang, educated at a Western-style university in Shanghai, truly adapt to the rigid rules and complex hierarchies of their ancient family network? One autumn evening, Qian and Yang walked by a lotus pond as the sun set. "Jiang," Qian asked, his voice heavy with worrying, "if my father never agrees, what will you do?" Yang stopped and looked him in the eye. She asked him a question instead. "Zhongshu, let me ask you something. If one day I grow old and ugly, will you still love me?" "Of course," he answered without hesitation. "Then what do you think a truly strong love should be afraid of?" Understanding dawned in his eyes. The only thing it should fear is not loving enough, he realized. Not any external obstacle, exactly, Yang smiled, the golden light of the sunset on her face. "So we'll wait, time will prove everything." And time was on their side. Faced with the silent scrutiny of tradition, Yang Zhong displayed extraordinary emotional intelligence. She chose not to fight, but to integrate. With her grace, her profound knowledge, and a quiet confidence that was neither arrogant nor subservient, she slowly won over every elder. They discovered that beneath the modern exterior was a core of integrity stronger than any of them. Finally, their deep love and Yang Zhong's impeccable character earned everyone's blessing. On July 13, 1935, they were married. "From today on, we are truly a family," Qian said, his eyes filled with tears. But the real test, or rather, the launch of their ultimate startup, which we'll call We Inc., was just beginning. 1 month later, they faced their first major strategic decision as a couple. Qian had won a prestigious scholarship to Oxford University. Should Yang Zhong stay in China to continue her own promising academic career, or should she abandon it and pay her own way to accompany him to a foreign land? In that era, it was an agonizing choice, but Yang Zhong barely hesitated. Her progressive father fully supported her. Why? Because they both saw the situation with stunning clarity. This was not a simple act of following her husband. This was a strategic investment. She was investing in Qian Zhongshu's limitless potential, but even more, she was investing in the future of the entity they had just formed. She believed that two people, working as a single, tightly knit team, could generate value far exceeding that of two separate individuals. This single choice defined the core philosophy of their marriage. They were not two individuals in a relationship. They were co-founders of We Inc., a partnership of equals with a shared mission. And from day one, Yang Zhong was not merely Qian Zhongshu's wife, she was the co-founder and chief operating officer. In the autumn of 1935, the young couple boarded a ship to England. Standing on the deck, watching the coast of their homeland disappear, Yang Zhong felt a mix of emotions. She had given up a clear path to personal success for a journey into the unknown, but she had no regrets, because she understood a fundamental truth. The highest form of love isn't possession, it's empowerment. It isn't dependency, it's a powerful alliance. This 24-year-old woman didn't know it yet, but the lessons she was about to learn in a foreign land would become the source code for a lifetime of happiness. How to become the ultimate support system for another while simultaneously becoming your strongest self. The ship's horn blew. Yang Zhong took Qian Zhongshu's arm and smiled into the sea wind. The future was unknown, but with her co-founder by her side, what was there to fear? Chapter 2, The Oxford Upgrade. From Scholar to Ku, autumn 1935, Oxford, England. When Yang Zhong first walked into their small rented flat, reality hit her like a ton of bricks. The room was tiny, the furniture was Spartan, and to top it all off, her genius husband was sitting helplessly on the bed, staring in despair at a large hole in his sock. "Zhong, what do I do? There's a hole in my sock," the man once called a living library asked, like a lost child. Yang Zhong didn't know whether to laugh or cry. This man, who could write in 7 languages and possessed a mind like a supercomputer, had the life skills of a toddler. "What did you used to do when your socks got holes in them?" she asked patiently. "Throw them out and buy new ones," he replied, as if it were the most obvious thing in the world. In that moment, Yang Zhong fully grasped her role in We Inc. She wasn't just a partner. She had to be the chief operating officer, responsible for all of the company's internal operations. She didn't complain. She rolled up her sleeves and began her coup training. "My Jewel 1, Chief Culinary Officer Yang Zhong grew up in a family of scholars where she never once entered the kitchen. Before getting married, she barely knew how to boil an egg. In Oxford, they initially boarded with an English family whose cooking was, well, stereotypically English. Qian, already thin, began to look gaunt. This won't do, Yang resolved. I have to learn to cook. She got an English cookbook and approached it like a research project, tackling one recipe at a time. Her first attempts were disasters. She boiled an egg with the shell cracked into it. She made a soup so salty it was undrinkable. But Qian, a man famously critical of the world, was never critical of her efforts. He would always smile and say, "Don't worry, we'll get it right next time." One day, she managed to make a Chinese dish of braised pork. It didn't look pretty, but Qian ate every last bite with gusto. "Zhang, you know," he said with absolute sincerity, "this is the most delicious Chinese food I've had in all of England." His words moved her to tears. It wasn't about the quality of the food, it was his encouragement, his unconditional support. That was the ultimate reward for her hard work. Soon, Yang Zhong's cooking skills soared. She began creating her own fusion dishes, delighting Qian. She hadn't just solved a logistical problem. She had infused their small, foreign home with the warmth of a hearth. Module 2. Chief Financial Officer. Life in Oxford was not luxurious. Qian was on a scholarship, and Yang was paying her own way. Every penny had to be carefully managed. Here, Yang discovered her hidden talent for finance. She managed their household budget like a seasoned CFO, tracking every expense. She not only made ends meet, but she always managed to magically save enough money for Qian to buy what he treasured most in the world: books. "How do you do it?" Qian asked in awe, as if she were a magician. "It's simple business strategy," she explained. "Our budget must serve the company's core mission. Books are your fuel, our primary asset. That's a non-negotiable investment. And necessary social events. Those are costs that can be cut." Under her brilliant financial management, their small home was simple in material terms but incredibly rich in spirit. Module 3. Chief Intellectual Partner at Oxford, one of the most intellectually competitive places on earth. Yang Zhong faced her first major crisis of self-doubt. Qian's genius shone as brightly as ever, his command of European languages, his photographic memory, and the speed at which he devoured books left his professors and peers in awe. In his shadow, Yang Zhong felt her own light dim. She had gone from being a celebrated scholar in China to being known simply as the genius's wife. One night, she confessed her insecurity. "Zhongshu, I feel like I can never catch up to you." Qian put down his book and looked at her with great seriousness. "Zhang, you're looking at this all wrong. Talent isn't for comparison, it's for collaboration. You have your genius, I have mine. What's important is that together, we create a synergy where 1 + 1 = 10. What do you mean? It's simple. From now on, you will be my first reader, and I will be yours. We will read together, debate together. You will be each other's intellectual whetstone." And so, they began a lifelong tradition. Every evening, they would share their intellectual discoveries. Qian would read fascinating passages aloud and listen to her critique. Yang would challenge his ideas and share her own insights, sparking new thoughts in his mind. This deep intellectual partnership was transformative. Qian's vast knowledge was refined and tested against Yang's sharp intellect. Yang's own mind was sharpened and elevated through constant engagement with a world-class brain. Most importantly, Yang Zhong found her new, powerful identity. She didn't need to become a second Qian Zhongshu. She needed to be the best Yang Zhong. As the co-founder of We Inc., her value wasn't in replicating the other founder, but in co-creating with him. Module 4. Chief Emotional Officer. If cooking, finance, and scholarship solved the problems of survival and growth, it was Yang's role as Chief Emotional Officer that made their partnership invincible. Qian was a genius, but he came with the standard genius's bugs. He was sensitive, proud, and socially awkward. In the elite circles of Oxford, he inevitably ran into academic challenges and interpersonal friction. Whenever he would come home dejected, like a defeated gladiator, Yang had a unique way of instantly rebooting his morale. She would never say, "You should be more magnanimous." She would stand firmly in his corner and say, "Those people don't understand you. It is their loss, not yours." She never demanded that he be more sociable. Instead, She co-created a rich, fascinating inner world with him, a world for two that was far more exciting than any party. In their 3 years at Oxford and Paris, Yang Zhong mastered the art of becoming a fortress of strength, capable of protecting another genius's fragile soul. With her resilience and optimism, she became an invisible shield, filtering out all the noise and negativity of the outside world, allowing Qian to roam freely in the universe of knowledge. In 1938, news arrived that their homeland was being ravaged by a full-scale Japanese invasion. They could have stayed in the safety of Europe. Instead, without hesitation, they chose to go back. "Why would you go back?" their foreign friends asked, bewildered. "It's so dangerous." "Because it is our country," Yang answered simply. "Our parents are there. Our roots are there." On the long voyage home, Qian suffered from terrible seasickness. As she cared for him, Yang shared a piece of philosophy that would become their guiding principle for life. "Zhongshu, look at the ship. No matter how big the waves are, the key to not falling is to find your balance within the ship's movement. You don't fight the storm, you sway with it, adjusting your own center of gravity. That is how you stay standing." This became their core strategy for navigating the storms of history. Don't try to rigidly resist the overwhelming forces of your time. Instead, learn to understand the logic of the environment and maintain your flexibility and inner peace within the chaos. In September 1938, they stepped onto the soil of Shanghai. They were not met with the tranquility of Oxford, but with war, poverty, and turmoil. But they were ready. After 3 years of intensive training, Yang Zhong was no longer just a gifted scholar. She had graduated with honors as the most formidable Kui could ever have, ready to stand shoulder to shoulder with her partner and face whatever came next. The real test was just beginning. Chapter 3: Guardian of the Fortress. The Strategy of a Masterpiece. The 1940s, Shanghai. During the war, the city was a solitary island of treacherous glamour and deep despair. In a small, cramped room, Yang Zhong sat under a dim lamp, mending the frayed cuffs of Qian Zhongshu's only good coat. Outside the window was a city torn by war. Inside, there was a quiet sanctuary of warmth. At a desk nearby, Qian was writing furiously. He was working on a novel that would later become a towering monument of modern Chinese literature. "Zhong, come listen to this," he said, pausing his pen. "Marriage is a fortress besieged. Those who are outside want to get in, and those who are inside want to get out." Yang stopped her sewing. She considered it for a moment. "It's brilliant. But I think the insight goes even deeper." "Oh, how so?" "The reason the fortress is so confusing," she said, "is not because of the walls themselves. It's because the people, both inside and out, never truly know what it is they really want." Qian's eyes lit up. "Yes, that's it exactly. You always see straight to the core." This kind of exchange was the daily routine of their life in the crucible of war. Yang Zhong was not just Qian Zhongshu's wife. She was his first reader, his sharpest critic, and his only intellectual soulmate. But the realities of life were far harsher than literary creation. First test: financial collapse. In wartime Shanghai, inflation was rampant. Life for an honest intellectual was nearly impossible. Qian, a man of immense integrity, refused to work for the Japanese-backed puppet government. He survived by tutoring the children of wealthy families, but the income was meager. One day, seeing the constant worrying on her husband's face, Yang Zhong had an idea. "Zhongshu, I think I'll try writing a play." "A play?" He was surprised. "You've never written one before, so I'll learn," she said with a lightness that defied their circumstances. "It's better than sitting around worrying. Live theater is very popular now. If I can write a hit, maybe it can earn enough to give you the peace of mind you need." In 1943, Yang Zhong's first play, Heart's Desire, premiered in Shanghai. Against all odds, it was a smash hit. On opening night, Qian bought a ticket and sat anonymously in the audience. As he listened to the actors deliver his wife's witty lines, hearing waves of laughter and applause wash over the theater, he was overcome with emotion. After the show, he told her, "Zhong, you have no idea what it feels like to sit there and hear a crowd cheering for your work. I feel more pride and joy than if I had won any award myself." The success of Heart's Desire made Yang Zhong a literary star overnight. She followed up with more hits, becoming as famous as the other great female writer of the era, Eileen Chang. But just as her career was skyrocketing, she made a decision that shocked everyone. including Qian Zhongshu. Second test, a strategic pivot in 1944. Qian told her, "Jiang, I have an idea for a big novel that I've been thinking about for years. I feel a desperate need to write it." "That's wonderful. You must start immediately," she encouraged. "But I can't," he lamented. "I don't have a solid block of time. I teach during the day, prepare lessons at night. There's no mental space left for a novel." Young John looked at him, was quiet for a long time, and then said with utter calm, "All right. Here's the plan. You will quit all your tutoring jobs. You will dedicate yourself completely to writing. I will handle the family's finances." "Absolutely not," Qian protested. "This is the golden age of your career. I can't be a drag on you." Young John took his hand and spoke the words that would come to define her incredible foresight and strategic mind. "Zhongshu, listen to me. In our family, in our company, it is enough if one of us achieves the highest level of success. And when it comes to creating a literary work that will last for generations, I believe you have a greater chance of success than I do." With that, she made her move. She fired their only maid to save money, taking on all the household chores herself. The celebrated playwright became a full-time housewife, channeling all her time and financial resources into Qian's project. From that day on, Yang Zhang would write her own commercial plays by day to pay the bills, and at night, she would cook, clean, and create a silent, perfect environment for Qian to write. Third test, guarding the birth of a masterpiece during the creation of Fortress Besieged. Yang Zhang's role was far more profound than that of a supportive wife. She was the project manager and the lead quality assurance tester for this literary masterpiece. Qian had a habit of writing in a feverish trance, scattering finished pages everywhere, his handwriting nearly illegible. Yang Zhang's first task was to act as his chief archivist. Every day, she would carefully collect these precious pages, put them in order, and then transcribe them, word for word, in her own neat, elegant script. This seemingly menial task was, in the chaos of war, the single most important reason the novel survived intact. But more importantly, she was its first and most trusted critic. After finishing each chapter, Qian would excitedly read it aloud to her. And Yang, with her own world-class literary sensibility, would provide the most precise feedback. "This piece of dialogue feels a bit too formal, not how people would actually speak. This character's motivation is still a bit fuzzy here. His actions don't quite track. This section of inner monologue is beautiful, but it's a bit long. It might slow down the pacing." Qian trusted her judgment completely. Sometimes, they would debate a single word or sentence late into the night with the intensity of two scientists trying to solve a quantum physics problem. In 1946, Fortress Besieged was published. In the preface, Qian wrote his now famous dedication, "I wrote this book over 2 years. During that time, I was often tempted to give up, but thanks to the constant supervision and encouragement of Ms. Yang Zhang, who shielded me from many responsibilities and saved me time, I was able to finish it, bit by bit. It is only fitting that this book should be dedicated to her. There is no Hollywood drama here of a lost manuscript miraculously found. There is only the daily, quiet, heroic act of guardianship, transcription, and intellectual collaboration. And perhaps that is a love story more moving than any fiction." Fourth test, the tides of history. After 1949, China entered a new era under communist rule. Qian and Yang returned to Tsinghua University to teach. They hoped for a life of quiet scholarship, but new challenges arose. A new university rule stipulated that a husband and wife could not both hold the rank of full professor in the same department. Once again, without a moment's hesitation, Yang Zhang took a step back. She voluntarily requested to be a lecturer, allowing Qian to take the professorship. "Why is it always you who has to sacrifice?" a friend asked, indignant on her behalf. Yang just smiled. "This isn't a sacrifice. It's the most logical allocation of our team's resources. Zhongshu's potential for academic contribution is greater than mine. Helping him maximize his value is how we maximize our collective value." In 1966, the storm of the Cultural Revolution broke over China. Knowledge became a crime, and intellectuals became enemies of the state. Qian and Yang were, of course, primary targets. They were sent down to the countryside, to that cadre school we saw at the beginning, for re-education through labor. There, at 58 years old, Yang Zhang was assigned to clean toilets. In the context of the time, This was the ultimate act of humiliation designed to crush the ego of a high intellectual. Many of her peers suffered mental breakdowns, some took their own lives. But Yang Zhang turned it into a form of performance art. She applied the same meticulous rigor to cleaning toilets that she applied to her literary translations. The local villagers were moved. "I never thought a big professor from Beijing would clean toilets better than we do," they'd say. Another intellectual, sent down with her, asked in disbelief, "Professor Yang, how can you be so serene?" Yang smiled. "There is no high or low work. To make a toilet clean for everyone to use ... Isn't that also a form of service?" Even more incredibly, in this environment of degradation and hardship, they never, for a single day, abandoned their intellectual life. By day, they toiled in the fields. At night, by the dim light of a kerosene lamp, they would read and write as if their lives depended on it. It was during this period that Qian began to formulate the ideas for his magnum opus of classical scholarship, Guanju Bi in the Pipe and All collection. And it was here that Yang, with only a single bilingual dictionary, continued her monumental translation of Cervantes' Don Quixote. They proved with their actions, physical imprisonment can never cage a free and noble mind. This is the core of Yang Zhang's wisdom. She never tried to conquer the world. She learned to find harmony with it in any circumstance. She never railed against fate. She learned to find her own dignity and happiness within whatever fate delivered. As she wrote in her later years in a quote that would become famous, "We once so desperately craved the recognition of the outside world, only to realize in the end that your world is your own and it has nothing to do with anyone else." Chapter 4, Decoding the Algorithm for Ultimate Happiness, December 19, 1998, a hospital in Beijing. Qian Zhongshu, 87, lay in his hospital bed, his life fading. Yang Zhang, also 87, sat beside him, holding his hand, just as she had for the past 63 years. "Zhang," he whispered, his voice barely audible, "I'm not going to make it." "It's okay," she replied, her voice as steady and as warm as ever. "I am here." She had spoken these words to him for 6 decades. In the hopeful days at Oxford, in the desperate years of war-torn Shanghai, in the bright spring of the university campus, and in the bitter winter of the labor camp. As long as Yang Zhang said, "I am here," Qian Zhongshu knew he was safe. Hearing those words, he closed his eyes peacefully and passed away. After the funeral, all their friends worried deeply for Yang Zhang. How could an 87-year-old woman bear the loneliness after 63 years of such an intertwined existence? The loss must be like a physical amputation of the soul. But Yang Zhang, once again, defied all expectations. In the final chapter of her own life, she gave us the final pieces of the code, the complete algorithm for their happiness. Code 1. Elevate love into a mission. The very first thing Yang Zhang did after Qian's death was to begin organizing his massive collection of manuscripts and notes. Over a lifetime, Qian had filled countless notebooks with his thoughts on thousands of years of human literature and philosophy, written in Chinese, English, French, German, Italian, and Latin. It was a private museum of human wisdom. But the notes were a chaotic mess, and his handwriting was notoriously difficult to read. The task of organizing them was a Herculean effort. At 88 years old, Yang Zhang would sit at her desk every day with a magnifying glass, deciphering, organizing, and editing, page by page. "Professor Yang, this is too much for you," the editors from the publishing house pleaded. "We can hire a team of the best experts to help." "No," she said, her tone absolute. "Only I can recognize all of his handwriting. Only I truly understand his train of thought. This is a job only I can do. It is my responsibility." For 3 full years, she barely left her apartment, working with a monk-like devotion until the monumental collected manuscripts of Qian Zhongshu was published. It is considered a miracle of 20th century scholarship. She wasn't just organizing her late husband's papers. She was safeguarding a civilizational flame. By completing his life's work, she ensured his spirit would live on. This is the first code. The most profound love does not end with death. It transforms into a mission, a responsibility to carry forward the shared value you built together, making the legacy eternal. Code 2. Actively manufacture joy. Many people asked Yang Zhang the same question. "You went through so much suffering, yet your memories always seem so full of joy." How? Her answer was surprising. "Because we were very good at manufacturing our own happiness." She gave an example. During their hardest time in the labor camp, living in a mud hut on a diet of coarse grains, they turned their life into an adventure. Every evening after their meager dinner, they would take a walk in the pitch-dark fields with a flashlight. Qian would imitate the sounds of different animals and speak in funny dialects, making Yang laugh until her sides hurt. They gave silly names to every dog and cat in the village. By the light of their kerosene lamp, they would have their reading adventures. He would read his beloved Latin classics, she would read Don Quixote in the original Spanish. When one of them found a brilliant passage, they would share it, exchanging a look of pure, unadulterated intellectual joy. Those nights, she recalled, were materially impoverished, but our spiritual world was richer than ever. We felt like Don Quixote and Sancho Panza, on a grand quest in a ridiculous world. This is the second code. Happiness is not a condition you arrive at, it is a skill you practice. It's not about what you have, but about how you frame what you have. Even in the worst environments, a powerful mind can find beauty and actively create joy. Code 3. Preserve your inner child. Even at 105, Yang Zhong possessed a childlike curiosity and innocence. At the age of 100, she published a new book of philosophical essays on life and death. Her writing was still crystal clear, her logic razor sharp. A journalist asked her, "Professor Yang, what is your secret to staying so mentally young?" She laughed. "The secret is to never lose your curiosity about the world." When she was in her 90s, she saw young people using computers and was fascinated. She insisted her niece teach her how to type. After she mastered it, she was as excited as a child with a new toy. This is amazing. Technology is so much fun. This is the third code. No matter how old you get, protect your inner child. A sense of wonder and a hunger for learning are the ultimate weapons against the decay of aging and the boredom of cynicism. Code 4. The wisdom of curating your memory. Yang Zhong had a remarkable quality. For the people and events that hurt her, she seemed to have a delete button. But for the people who helped her, even in the smallest way, she had a perfect, lifelong memory. This selective memory filtered out the poison of resentment from her life, leaving only warmth and gratitude. During the Cultural Revolution, a young man, trying to prove his revolutionary credentials, went out of his way to torment and humiliate them. Years later, this same man fell on hard times. When Yang Zhong heard about it, she felt no vengeful pleasure. Instead, she anonymously sent him help. Someone who knew the story was baffled. "After how he treated you, why would you help him?" Her answer was a lesson in profound wisdom. "I don't remember his cruelty back then. I only see his suffering now. Everyone has their own struggles in life. Understanding is always more powerful than revenge. This is not weakness. This is a top-tier life algorithm, the wisdom of curating your memory." This is the fourth code. Do not waste your precious mental energy on replaying grievances or nursing old wounds. You are the curator of your own mind. Actively choose to archive the memories that give you strength and warmth, and delete the ones that hold you back. Fanko Decodes, the timeless blueprint. On May 25, 2016, Yang Zhong passed away peacefully at the age of 105. One of the last thoughts she left the world was this: we once so desperately craved the waves of destiny, only to discover in the end that the most beautiful landscape in life is the calmness and grace of one's own heart. With her long and complete life, Yang Zhong decoded for us the ultimate happiness algorithm that guided her and her husband through a century of storms. This algorithm can be summarized by one core principle: rooted inside, creative outside. First, rooted inside. This means making self-cultivation the bedrock of all happiness. Yang Zhong never stopped learning and growing. Whether she was translating a world classic or cleaning a toilet, she found dignity and a sense of accomplishment. This powerful inner core made her impervious to external chaos. This means mastering the wisdom of curating your memory, forgetting injuries, remembering kindness. This allowed her to travel through life without the heavy baggage of resentment. Second, creative outside. This means actively manufacturing joy in daily life. Happiness isn't a gift from fate, it's a masterpiece you craft with your own hands. And it means elevating love from possession to co-creation. They were not two dependent individuals. They were a seamless startup team. Their shared goal was to create outstanding work and a legendary life together. Qian's fortress besieged, Yang's Don Quixote, and finally, their shared story. We three, these were the greatest products of this ultimate partnership. The story of Yang Zhong may look like a perfect fairy tale, but at its core, it is a hardcore epic of personal development. It teaches us two undeniable truths. 1. If you want a high-quality relationship, you must first become a high-quality, emotionally independent individual. 2. If you want to find certainty in an uncertain world, the only answer is to build a powerful, rich, and self-sufficient universe inside your own mind. So now, I want to leave the questions with you, and they are not just about love. When faced with life's setbacks, is your default to blame your circumstances, or do you choose to root inward, to upgrade yourself, and to see the challenge as a growth opportunity? In your work and your life, are you passively accepting what is given to you, or are you actively manufacturing landscapes, creating your own meaning and joy? Do you possess the wisdom to curate your memory, to intentionally filter out the noise and the hurt, so you can focus your energy on what truly matters? If our decoding of Yang Zhong's life algorithm has given you a new way to think about building a strong inner self and creating a happy life, please let me know by liking this video. And more importantly, share your thoughts in the comments below. What did you learn from Yang Zhong's philosophy? Which of these happiness codes resonates with you the most, and which one will you start practicing in your own life today? Remember the ultimate wisdom she left us. We once so desperately craved the recognition of the outside world, only to realize in the end that your world is your own, and it has nothing to do with anyone else. May you also cultivate such a powerful heart, so that whether you have someone to walk through the storm with or not, you can always be your own staunchest ally, living your life as a landscape of grace and calm. I'm Fanko, and this is Fanko Decodes. Together, we decode the legends to redesign our lives. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.